Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome. Pleasure to have you. Super stoked about this space. I don't know about you guys, but I am. What's up, everybody? Kajito, how you doing? Welcome back. All right, perfect. Kajito, can you hear me? Let me turn on my volume here. I'm not sure what's going on. Arcs, what's up, brother? All right. Well, for some reason, I'm not sure if you guys can hear me or we can't hear Kajito. I see that you're okay. I get a thumbs up. Okay, thumbs up from you guys. Okay, you can hear me. Can you guys hear Kajito? Anchor, can you try to talk?
Yeah, I can talk just fine.
Oh, there we
And
go.
I can hear you as well.
What's up, man? How's it going?
Not too bad, not too bad.
Nice. Pleasure to have you. All right. Okay, Kajito just dropped off. Yeah, it might be a little X. Elon, what you got going on, brother? Get it together. Anchor, you are from Checked. What's up, man?
That is correct, and you pronounced it correctly as well. A lot of people go check D. That's not it.
Got you. Nice. I'll take that. I'll take that for a win. All right. Atoma. What's up, Atoma?
Hey, how's it going? This is Marcus from Atoma Network. How we doing today?
I am good, man. Nice to meet you. Pleasure to have you.
Pleasure to meet you as well.
Hey guys, Carbon here from ARC.
Carbon,
Pumped
you
to
made
be
it.
here. We out here.
You here, baby. Let's go. Nice, man.
So excited for the space. Gonna be some
Pleasure,
good stuff.
pleasure. Nice, man. Nice. Pleasure to talk. Thanks for coming. All right, Kajito, let's get you back up here. Kajito. Oh, there we are.
Great.
Awesome. And you're the gentleman. We've had you on before, man. Pleasure to have you. You're gonna have to tell me your name one more time because I always mess it up. It's just a tone.
You mean me?
What's
You
that?
mean me? You mean me, the Kajito representative?
Yes, you. We've had you
Oh,
on before.
okay. Yeah, sure. No worries. My name is Nate Žnidar, and I'm a co-founder of Kajito. I'm a chief quant here as well.
Got you. All right. I'm still gonna have a hard time with that name, and I apologize. Can I call you Nej, or do you have a nickname I can refer to you?
Yeah, sure. Just call me Nick or something like that. So it's all good.
Neek?
Or Nate. Call me Nathan. This is
Nathan?
yeah, like an English name. It's we have the ts in the
Like
end, but
Nathan, yeah.
it's
Oh, okay.
Nate.
yeah, that's the
Nathan,
only
great.
difference.
Got you.
Yeah, that's the only
I like
difference.
the tone idea where you whistled and that was your name. I thought that was dope.
I was just checking if the mic works actually.
But like it's like Prince who's changed his name to a symbol so you could just be a whistle.
That's a vibe.
Well, I mean, if that suits,
It's so encrypted. That's your name is so secure that it's just a tone.
Exactly. It's like computer encrypted, so only computer can figure it out. Then
I like that.
I love it.
This is what we're having with blockchain and encryption and everything. We can encrypt the name like this. So
Yeah,
I
you
was
need like
like,
the audio salt to decrypt the tone.
Huh.
exactly.
Yeah, every single name or everybody has like their own frequency. I guess that's your frequency, brother. That's it. I don't know what mine is, but we'll figure it out. Welcome everybody. Thanks for coming and joining us today. We're going to talk about securing AI models with blockchain technology. We got some awesome companies up here. They've been building some amazing applications, and we're going to learn from them. That's what we're here to do. And so I'm Eric. I'm the guy behind Web3M, and we have Kajito, we have Arcs, we have Atoma, we have Checked, and we're going to get right into it. But first, let's talk to these guys. Let's learn who they are and what they're doing behind the scenes. So, Kajito, if you could start, introduce yourself and what Kajito's doing, that'd be great.
Sure. Okay, so as I said before, my name is Nate Schneider. I'm like a person from Slovenia. That's why it's a Slovenian name and hard to pronounce. But anyway, what Cogito is doing is tokenization of the real world assets. We are tokenizing mainly treasuries, bonds, stocks, and similar. On top of that, we're doing the adjusted portfolios that are mostly AI based. So we have quite a history with AI. I mean, me, of course, because like I'm a quant in general, but in general, also Cogito Finance is coming from the SingularityNet ecosystem. Everybody knows probably SingularityNet is the biggest AI company in crypto, and it's now merging with two others, which are Fetch AI and Ocean Protocol. So it's going to be like a super intelligence alliance. But yeah, basically we were founded by them, and we have like a close linkage with them, also similar owners. And we are focusing on AI generated portfolios and how to apply them in the RWA space. So this is roughly what we are.
Awesome. Love what you guys are doing. Singularity is awesome as well. Thank you very much. And Arcs, Carbon, what's up, man?
Hey guys, Carbon here from ArcX. And the X stands for exchange, so Arc Exchange. But yeah, ArcX is actually a platform. It's a mobile platform out actually on Android and iOS, and we're using AI to actually help people design luxury jewelry. So this is a little bit of a different, not your typical Web3 company, but we're actually bringing a consumer app to market and a consumer service, disrupting the luxury industry using AI. But it's a really, really cool experience. Obviously, we've seen all the amazing, powerful stuff that AI can do as far with data, content creation, and a lot of other things. But it's actually going to be disrupting and has already started disrupting consumer and physical product industries. So our application actually lets you design any kind of luxury jewelry, necklaces, rings, earrings, and other things like that. And then we have decentralized manufacturing all over the world. So we're actually able to let people design stuff, build stuff, and then we actually manufacture it and ship it to people. And that's the start of one of many products that we have coming out. But yeah, it's really cool. There's just so much application, and Web3 is just perfect for what we're doing because there's a lot of property rights and tracking of supply chain stuff. And when people design things in AI, you want to be able to mint your jewelry, mint your ideas, and actually be able to resell it and give it to other people and license it out as well. So a lot of really cool stuff here.
Oh, I love Web3. I love decentralized ways of doing things. It's so flexible. Thanks, man.
Yep.
Appreciate it. All right, Anchor with Checked. What's up, man?
Hi, I'm Anka Baji. I'm the CTO and co-founder at Checked. So Checked is a decentralized identity and reputation network. We try and work on zero knowledge and privacy preserving mechanisms of securely exchanging data and trusted data, as we call it. We started off doing a lot of this for humans. How could humans have either weak forms of identity that prove just the fact that they're human online, or all the way up to being able to KYC and re-KYC when you're online. And more recently, we've been working with a lot of different projects and internally on applying our tech to AI, because the same challenges that you find with trusted information about people also applies to a lot of the training data sets and the models that you use in AI sort of use cases. So yeah, like that's I think it's going to be one of the big sort of breakout areas for decentralized identity and reputation in general. And I look forward to going into a bit more detail about it today.
Nice. I'm excited to talk about it. Thanks for that intro, man. Appreciate it. And Atoma. What's up, Atoma?
Yeah. How's it going? Definitely happy to jump into what we're working on. So at Atoma, we pretty much act as a decentralized compute layer, which other chains and kind of dApps interact with, and they interact with us in order to perform verifiable AI inference. Now, the importance with the verifiable AI inference is to ensure that when you are prompting or running inference with various models, that there's no malicious activity behind that model. In a world where we're going to be trusting AI technologies with a lot of very important tasks, whether they're implementations into simple things like NFT integrations, or you look at the more complex and probably more risk on kind of integrations when you're looking at like decentralized finance, you've got much higher risk in those situations, and you want to assure that whatever you're running inference on, you have that guarantees that there's no malicious activity behind this prompt. Whoever made the smart contract, there's no kind of back end draining functionality or anything like that, right? So we run verifiable AI inference to ensure that your prompt is doing as it's supposed to be doing. And this is the level of trust that we seek to build in AI as we move towards this future in which we adopt and kind of move towards this whole decentralized AI ecosystem, which is completely transparent and open to all.
Nice. Yes, I love it. I love it all. Thanks for that intro, man. Pleasure to have you, Marcus. And let's get into the good stuff. That's what we're here to do. We're here to learn about securing AI with blockchain. And there's so many applications coming out. You know, there's so many different awesome ways to pair the two together, and especially make sure and secure this technology. So we'll get right into with the questions. So for you guys, my first question, and this is for the entire panel. You can raise your hand or just jump up to speak, whichever you would like. But what makes blockchain a key factor into securing AI blockchains? Or I'm sorry, AI models. Yeah, Anchor, if you want to go first, please.
Yeah, I think the big sort of like challenge with most AI models is having good quality data sets. A lot of this AI model training is garbage in, garbage out. So if you've trained it on badly designed data, the best example that I can give of this is I worked a lot on AI vision processing models. And if you have the wrong kind of data set, vision processing AI cannot differentiate between poodles and fried chicken, or you have cancer detecting AI, which doesn't actually detect skin cancer, but just the fact that there's a ruler next to images with cancer on them or skin cancer on them because the doctor was just measuring that portion. So the quality of the data matters a lot. And where I think this gets interesting is most of the time currently people and academics are just slinging this data around on forums and websites without any sort of like general idea about their quality. So being able to compensate the people or the sources that this data comes from ensures high quality data. A lot of what blockchain enables facilitates that without necessarily having gatekeepers. And secondly, for like a very large audience of people, if you're ingesting tons and tons of data and being able to go and track a reputation for that data set, blockchains again offer a very, very compelling way of doing that without creating a centralized platform that is keeping all of this. The biggest ones right now, if you want to go look them up, are called Kaggle and Hugging Face. I know they're weird names, but that would be the state of the art right now. And I think there's a better way out there where it's less in control. I think we've got I think some other people have touched.
Nope, I think you were done, man. I'm not sure if you were, but I think you were. Art?
Yes, I was. Arts.
Yeah, please, man.
Yeah, the great stuff, Ankur. Yeah, I think that there's honestly so much surface area here, and there's a lot of what people say, like known unknowns. We don't know where, AI is going to be trailblazing into so much new uncovered territory that we're going to uncover a lot of use cases and stuff that we didn't know we even needed security for. And I think crypto and Web3 is going to provide is going to be so necessary to cover that stuff. I think there's a lot of stuff in AI. If you've I think we've all probably been tapped into the the data stream. Even companies like Google and OpenAI have admitted, their executives have admitted sometimes they don't completely know how the model is working, and it's coming up with answers and functionality that they didn't, necessarily program into it. Obviously, it's starting to self-learn and come up with its, own conclusions and stuff like that to some extent. And the problem with traditional, so digital security is that it's linear. It's humans usually going in and patching code and actually securing systems. But AI is going to scale so fast and create so many new avenues that we actually, humans aren't going to be able to keep up with the amount of security needed. And so crypto, thankfully, is a solution to that. Smart contracts are a solution to that. It has to be able to scale alongside this massive new beast that's coming into the world. So I think that's why even if people it's going to become essential. Even if people aren't crypto folks to begin with, you need a scalable solution that scales faster. It needs an exponential scaling security solution.
Oh wow, I couldn't agree more. Nate.
Oh, yeah, sure. Also, the advantage of crypto and blockchain technology is that you have like the stores of the data that you're training your models with. You have them stored, first of all, online, where everybody can see them if you choose to, or you can just make it be seen to just those that you want to, which is like sometimes a useful thing. But more importantly, this data is very transparent because it has like timestamps, so you know exactly when there's something written or deleted. So in some applications, that's like very important because they can be manipulated, like legal docs and stuff like that. It's very important when something was, added, deleted, even set, or like when just some data event happened. Because like later on, those data points can change, and in this way, it's really hard to manipulate, and it's easy to share to everybody who needs to have it shared with. So blockchain is like an interesting way of storing the data, and it will makes like specific types of models even much more, well, easier, of course, but also like much more useful because of the way it works. So I would just add that to what everybody else is saying.
Nice. Marcus?
Yeah, of course. I think just kind of piggyback off that point there. So I think one of the most important things is kind of looking at the overall ecosystem and AI right now, and it's looking at kind of where these main talking points are. And one of these main talking points in this whole AI ecosystem, even just outside of blockchain technology, is this whole debate surrounding closed source modeling and open source modeling. Now, our stance at Atoma is very pro open source. It aligns with that of some esteemed individuals in the ecosystem, such as Jan LeCun. And what we really believe is that closed source AI is a very dangerous path to go down. And the reason that's the case is because closed source AI really leaves the power solely in that of kind of the model creators and really the large corporations who are going to be able to afford to train these highly expensive models, which if you're looking at some of these more recent models, the cost of training is in the billions, and it's only going to increase at this point as compute becomes more expensive, and we end up in a state where it's only going to be larger models as well, using more data and so on. Now, one of the massive benefits when tying in blockchain technology into this is actually that transparency, that openness, that decentralized fact tied to these models. And what that really enables is the fact that we have a level of trust in the models because we know that everyone has access to them. There's no corporate centralization and control over these models. There's no kind of flavoring to what data is being used, no bias is being introduced. It's kind of for the people and anyone can use it. Anyone can fine tune said models, which I think is one of those really incredible things. The Llama 3 models, for example, have seen a lot of use, especially in the open source ecosystem. And the gap between them and the latest GPT-4 models really isn't that vast. It's not like how it used to be, where these closed source models were so far ahead of the open source models, which really just shows that as this gap increases, and if you look from kind of a linear kind of projection perspective, you'll kind of be able to determine that open source will allow for faster contributions as anyone's able to kind of contribute to that. So it will have the likelihood of either catching up and eventually staying on par or potentially surpassing that of closed source.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Oh,
I
nice.
also think a lot of these things converge too. We've had even the AI image field, there's at first it was such clear winners like Midjourney and stuff like that, but everything's honestly converging, and like every single visual AI will pretty much be the same. But I know that's more simplistic, but again, I think the language models will keep converging, and I do think, like you said, over time that decentralized ones, open source ones, really may outpace the centralized ones.
Yeah, and in general, I think we all agree that open source is better. If for nothing else, like if everybody has the same access, we can expect that there will be more competition in the new products and just a better human development. So, yeah, I guess this is also part of the reason why we're all in this industry.
Well, you guys are certainly early. AI hasn't been around for too long, and so it's really interesting to see all this kind of unfold, and it's unfolding faster than I could ever imagine. And so it all relies on the data. And you guys keep on bringing this up, so I want to kind of hit on that point a little bit more. Because do you guys have any examples of how blockchain ensures the integrity and security of the data used for AI models? Yes, Anchor.
So, an example of this, which is becoming increasingly relevant these days, is something called content credentials. It's a bit of an initiative that started because a lot of there's a lot of AI generated image or video or audio that is being published out there. And the problem is that, like, if you start training your AI models on AI generated images, video, audio, they will just progressively become worse and worse at what they do. And by some estimates, even about 5 to 7% of your data being synthetic or AI generated like this causes something called model collapse, where the training stops working. So where I think a lot of this is useful is a concept called content credentials, where along with every piece of media, you can attach a digital credential that talks about, is this piece of image, is it AI generated, is it human generated, or a mix of both? Because having a mix of both is fine. Maybe you have a human model that you're using in an AI backdrop of some sort. And so, what this goes and captures is the entire history of edits that have happened. It's also going to be big globally, I think, because this is an election year where 65 different countries are going to elections, and some of the very largest ones, including India and the US and the UK. So I think for sure, I think within this year, we'll see an example of elections getting swayed because of digitally generated or artificially generated media. And people are going to start caring about this, not just for training their models, but also from a democracy perspective.
Sure. Yeah, I can see how that can be extremely helpful, to keep everything transparent and keep everything seamless. I don't know about where, any other place on earth, but the US, seems to really sway the voting, power in one way without really anybody knowing what's going on in the background. So blockchain and of course AI is going to help that, drastically. And so whenever it comes to blockchain technology to enhance the transparency, because that's what it's all about, transparency and security. That's what blockchain's for, the infrastructure. Whenever it comes to the transparency of AI algorithms and decision making processes, what are the advantages for hosting the AI on the blockchain whenever it comes to that?
I think a small, I think this is an aspect, not the macro, but a micro thing definitely is security from a user standpoint. I think, when you're using an AI, it's almost like using Google or a search engine. You definitely don't know uh, when you converse with an AI, who's on the other side looking at that and who has access to that. And, some of us are, there's countries that have more freedom of speech than others, but a lot of the world is like you can go to jail just for Googling the wrong thing. And so I think as we use AI more and more in our everyday instances, if you're like, just say the wrong thing in talking to an AI, that could get you in a lot of trouble in certain parts of the world. So I think just like VPNs or other, layers of security, that's going to be so necessary for people when they're conversing with using any kind of AI, is having that layer to know that this conversation is encrypted and that it's using some kind of blockchain to actually make sure those records aren't distributed to sources that may have nefarious kind of intentions.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's also always a history that is always recorded on chain, which is another advantage. Again, like for some types of data, this is extremely important. And having the blockchain set up the right way means that we can also control who can see. We can also anonymize the data if that is in the interest. And like by anonymizing and putting it on chain, we still like encrypt it, and only those with the keys have the access to it. So this is all great, and also like the monetization of the data is not that complicated, because like you can just set it up in the blockchain in the right way, again, like by how much it costs and everything like that. So all of that is are the big advantages, and they help with, as I said, transparency, but also that more people have the wide range access, and that blockchain can make it really hard to manipulate what happened in the past, even though some malicious actors oftentimes do want that. So, and also like there's regulatory compliance. All of that can be automated on chain, because it's just like a code and you can set up the rules, and all of that is again possible on blockchain.
So, Nate, you just mentioned something about like the history. So I'm not sure if this is exactly what you said, but this is kind of like a question that I got from what you just mentioned. Is once the AI start pulling the data, and you have provided the blockchain, and you've I don't know if these are the correct terms, but inserted the data onto the on chain, and then the AI can pull that data and use it to make decisions and do the things that you want it to do, for consumers or for businesses or whatever you have planned. What How can you ensure that that history of data is spot on, so that the AI can make the correct decisions? So, like, what if you give it the wrong data in the history, and then it does something wrong? How do you change that data for the future?
Well, on blockchain, that's actually probably simpler to do than anywhere else, because the data can have like the timestamps and everything, so everything is recorded for the past. Now, of course, you can make mistakes. I mean, when we are inserting the data, again, like it can be all automated, which is okay, but even the sources sometimes make mistakes. I don't know, they could be hacks, human error, or whatever. So you can always fix the data afterwards. And you can I mean, even if it's fixed, of course, it will be recorded in blockchain that it was fixed, but there's nothing stopping you from using the fixed version. But then again, nothing stopping you also from not using the fixed version. And why is that good? Because sometimes when you're fixing it, you might fix it because you want to cover up something. So basically, on blockchain, it's not really like, it has like double security. Basically, you can definitely fix the wrong records. I mean, you just override them. Of course, it's all written on blockchain that you overread it and when and how it was before. But uh, on the other hand, you cannot really hide the past, and it still requires transparency, and transparency is always there. So it has both advantages, and both can be very useful in specific situations.
Hmm. Are you speaking like the AI has an alternate universe, like it's on one path and then in order to correct the AI from the previous history of whatever it's doing, you have to change its trajectory and move it towards a new like reality in order to create the accurate AI.
Well, I mean, first of all, the problem is with the data. Sometimes the data that you get is wrong, so then you have to fix it, because if you train the AI on the wrong data, you're going to have like a really shitty AI, no matter how good your model is. So sometimes you have to fix things. But the other things, times like you basically create the AI that is automatically adjusting to the newest data, but which can be bad because sometimes the data is manipulated because somebody maybe doesn't want what happened in the past. I was reading on the history like 2000 years ago or something like that. There were like very dubious claims about science, which could not be true even in that time period, because emperors wanted to look good and they made them write the wrong stuff just to show that they have superpowers or something like that. So there's always like actors that do want to manipulate data, but on the other hand, there's always also that problem that the data that you are getting might be wrong. So what I'm saying is the blockchain can actually take care of both cases. But of course, AI models, on the other hand, they can be manipulated by also both cases. And right now, it's like really hard to, I mean, it is possible, but it's very hard to control this because humans, you know, as I said, like they both make mistakes and they do want sometimes to manipulate. And you have two problems that basically blockchain can solve.
Interesting. And we did get a question in the messages, and this kind of goes into what I wanted to ask in regards to what you just said. Is what's the best way to learn to building your personal language model with future use cases? And my question would be like, for somebody new building AI, what would be a good way to distinguish somewhere to aggregate the data to get the correct data? Because you guys, I'm sure, have looked and found different sources, and you chose that source for a reason. What made you choose that source of data to input into your application?
Is this for me or somebody else?
For anybody in the panel.
So yeah, choosing the data is something that before making a model, you think very hard about. There are always different sources, and you always try to choose the best one. You always have to be aware that, I mean, almost before you do anything, there are usually problems with the data. Now, if you're looking specifically at large language models, right now, to train the language model, you need like insane vast amounts of data and really insane computing power. So only relatively big companies or huge startups could do it. Although right now, I think even startups cannot do it anymore. But you can train it on something specific that is just for you. So you can use like the existing models and just adjust them to what is useful for you. So you make like a specific, I don't know, chatbot or whatever application you're doing. For that, I would suggest to learn about the current models and how to use them and how to adjust them. So if you're looking for those that are open source, well, relatively open source, you have several of those. ChatGPT is the most famous one, but it's not open source. And if you're trying to build on something on top of it, you're always subject to changes of the model, which are not in your control. They are basically in Microsoft or OpenAI control. So that's a bit of an issue. But you can look like at existing models, I don't know, Llama, Mistral, and similar stuff like that. That is also there, and you can build on top of that. To learn how to deal with them, it's just good to go on their website and read, basically just read about how to do with those. But again, if you just want to play around with OpenAI, they also have the API, and and relatively good documentation. So I'm not sure if I'm answering this question correctly, or is it going more about training big LLMs or something like that?
No, that was perfect. Arcs, did you have something?
No, I think that's I think that's well laid out. Of some of the options there. I think that this is not a solution, but it's a challenge. Is some of this stuff become these data sets are just so much more than the human mind can kind of comprehend. So it's it's really tough. It's not like a simple API or something that you're choosing to just integrate. So yeah, it brings up a lot of difficult questions, and then it becomes meta. You might need AI to analyze data sets, other AI data sets, to figure out, to comb through that and stuff like that. And it's also really difficult. I think it's a little bit of a Pandora's box. Like, the data is already out there; it's already swirling around. It's hard to put it back in and say, people tried to last year, be like, oh, we're banning these types of data sets or things like that, from being trained upon. It's like, dude, it's already been trained. That ship has sailed. I think the only thing you can do in the future is protect certain aspects of certain kinds of data, and that's where, again, blockchain comes in, is to encryption is to protect, whether you're an artist or a writer or a coder, to try to protect certain parts of your work from being trained in the future. But it's not necessarily as simple as, oh, well, this model has data that I don't like, because they're just so massive. The human, you can't really parse that data on a personal level, so it becomes really difficult to kind of make some of those decisions on when you're choosing to add data sets and things like that. It's hard to figure out what to put in there. And I think, that's why going forward, we have to establish, norms of security immediately and ASAP, to prevent stuff that we don't want going into these models, and to also ensure, not to kind of do the best we can to not contaminate models as well. As Anchor said, if models start training on themselves, there's like, I don't know what you call it, but it's almost like genetic drift, but it's like AI drift, because if they keep training on themselves, even if image or something like that, but it would start drifting, like you said, out of reality, and de-pegging itself from reality, and creating its own alternate reality. I mean, that's why AIs, hallucinate and stuff like that. They have no reference point. That their reference point of reality is only what we feed them. They live in this black box. So, yeah, I don't know. A lot of again, there's so much interesting conversations there to be had. But yeah, I think the biggest thing is, how do we move forwards? And it's because it's tough to look backwards and necessarily, go retrofit it.
Interesting. Anchor.
Something on that, like, scale of data issue. If you had to download the entirety of Wikipedia, that fits in about 20 gigabytes of information, which is not that bad. You could keep it on your laptop. The data set that a lot of these large language models and AI get trained on is trained quite often on at least something called Common Crawl, which is a repository of practically every single web page that ever exists. And that's 450,000 gigabytes or 450 terabytes. So just the scale of data that you need to feed to a lot of these large AI models is absolutely staggering and insane. And that's just one data set. That's not even the entirety of the data set that these systems are trained on.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, and now that actually it gets worse than that, because if you're looking for so much data, now many websites have figured out that if they start selling the data, they can earn much more money if they just let you crawl the data. So you can't just crawl the data and get those 450 terabytes. You need to actually pay for it, which makes it really expensive. And and then you just think about storage, but actually even bigger problem is processing power. How are you going to train the models on this and stuff like that? So it gets quite expensive.
Interesting. Did somebody else have a point? I saw somebody, maybe not. Just jump up here if you did. What about decentralized computing? I know there's a lot of ecosystems coming out, and I forget the name of the last one that I saw. Dang it, I'll have to look it up. But is there like a decentralized manner where individuals provide the computing power, where it's not so expensive to launch AI models?
I think there's two flavors of that. I'll take a stab. One is where you run the actual AI model itself in a decentralized fashion. Very early stages of that are networks like BitTensor. But the problem is that even the compiled or the trained AI models can often run into many dozens of gigabytes, which is just very hard to store and run in a blockchain, and quite often in a blockchain because you don't have that level of trust. You often have the nodes repeating the same calculations over and over again. So some of the early attempts at this are not there yet in terms of performance, but I think it will get there. The other one is just decentralized physical infrastructure, so deep-in networks, where you buy compute, which can be significantly cheaper than the traditional cloud providers, and go run the model in one of those places. Again, you'll start running into questions about people needing to prove their reputation as a node operator running these networks. I think but there's a lot of interest within the space for not creating another monopoly again, where everybody's just paying OpenAI.
Yeah, and I was meant. Oh, Thomas has raised his hand.
Please, yes, Marcus.
No worries, no worries. Yeah, I mean, when just looking overall at the idea of decentralized compute, I think it makes a lot of sense. I mean, the DeepIn ecosystem itself is growing vastly. There's a lot of new projects emerging in there, a lot of big players. I don't know if any of you guys have used any of decentralized compute yourselves, but it's pretty comparable in terms of kind of latency to that of a lot of cloud computing services that are pretty prominent in the Web 2 world. Um, I mean, I think it makes a lot of sense, right? Like DeepIn and distributed compute makes a lot of sense because a lot of people do have a lot of idle compute. And if you look at statistics, a lot of compute is not being used on a traditional basis, whether it be kind of more consumer grade GPUs like your, RTX 4090s, or you go more into your more commercial grade and you look into your A100s. There's a lot of compute that's a lot very idle. So if you have it idle, may as well be using that and earning from that. And I think it's going to be really crucial as you see more people get into the space and ecosystem and try and train their own models, or whether they're running inference requiring the GPUs themselves and compute to empower that. It's only going to become more and more prominent. So I really see this deepen area to be something that's going to be really vast and growing. And I mean, cloud computing itself is already massive in itself. So I think it makes a lot of sense for DeepIn to kind of shift into that as we see more decentralized adoption and towards this whole ecosystem.
Yeah, basically what you said is exactly what one of the SingularityNet ecosystem companies is doing, which is NuNet, which is offering decentralized servers. So basically you can just come and use your own either servers, in theory even maybe the phone, and let others compute and stuff like that. Of course, the reputation system is important there, but yeah, they've been around for quite a while, and it's definitely a work in progress in its own blockchain, so it just fits well together.
The narrative that I keep on hearing is proving a good reputation with blockchain, incentivizing people to provide a consistent and reliable source, and so with that, how can you monitor and how can you make sure that whenever you're paying these people for providing the data or providing the compute power, that it is reliable and it is consistent, in that fashion?
Actually, in this way, I would promote a project I've done at SingularityNet quite a few years ago, which was the reputation system. We've developed it there and basically tested in crypto space. It was initially designed for online marketplaces, but of course, with the thought about SingularityNet AI marketplace in behind, but it can be really broadened up. But yeah, basically, what is happening is like you can look at somebody who is, for example, selling something online, be it computing power or like processing or whatever really you're looking for, and then you look at how this seller performed in the past. Were people happy with it, or did it provide good services? Then you look at the service that they're providing. Did it have good feedback from those who actually paid or not? And what is the interest and how fast it is, how recent it is, and also like all other stuff that this seller did online, of course, help promote the good reputation. So in this way, you can create like a very automated reputation for someone, which is basically created by the feedback that users give, and it helps users choose. Now, it doesn't mean that it's foolproof, but I guess there are. I mean, whenever you have the reputation systems, they're always being manipulated. There's like we made a good study about that on Amazon, how in like different categories of sellers, there's always try to manipulate the search results. So the higher you have reputation, the higher you are in the search results, and the more sales you have. So there's always that game there, but yeah, I'm promoting like the SingularityNet's reputation system because we were really thinking about that, how to deal with this in crypto. And if you deal with this in crypto, I mean, I guess it will have similar results as in traditional world, but it can be done in transparent way and yeah, using for all the information that we're giving out when we're doing stuff online. And I would remind everybody that on crypto, everything we do with our wallets is anonymized, of course, and nobody knows who we are behind that, but also like all the transactions are giving us information about us, about how much we do business and what kind of business we're doing. I mean, if some transactions are flagged, you clearly know that you have like a bad individual behind. So you can create an automated system that detects how reputable you are. And since everything is anonymized, they don't know your name and surname. They just know your blockchain ID, which is like a set of 32 symbols. So I think it's a very interesting thing. And I would say it's harder to manipulate than traditional systems, where also you have like insiders changing their reputations of some things, and then you have like strange recommendations, for example, on YouTube recommendations and similar, where it's also a reputation system. But anyway, like all of this is technically possible on blockchain, but harder to do. And yeah, I would just say like there is work being done in this way to do everything in automated way. Of course, you can do it also like in personal way, and this is always good. But um, the way I see it, like that, this is the whole ecosystem that is huge already, and it's going to be even more huge. Even if you don't know the blockchain data, it's going to be hundreds of gigabytes already, at least, most likely more. Just transactions of Ethereum, for example. But yeah, to go through this data, you get like a good feeling of how the ecosystem works.
Wow. Yeah, I can see, and I'm starting to see a clear picture of why it's so important for companies to keep this in mind whenever you're able to incentivize people for acting a certain way and providing more value to whatever that organization is or whatever they're doing. And whoever does that, it's going to be an exponential incentivizing program where they're just like, the good actors are going to be gifted more and more and more and more and more for providing more value, and it's like a big loop of value for the company and for the consumers or the individuals that are putting in the work to provide that resource to that company, whether it be data or computing or whatever it is. There's so many applications, and that's why in the next 24 months we're going to see the majority of companies, if not, I would say 100% of companies are going to change to using some sort of AI model. So it's an interesting time, that's for sure.
Yeah, I love what you kind of where you're headed with that of the value proposition. It's almost like karma, like AI karma. Like you can do shitty things, but in but long term, the real value for both sides to put out and receive back value will come from the good actors with good intentions. And again, this is one of those few models that, if we do it right, we can actually prove that out almost mathematically, and create those systems that reward the people that doing putting out good data, doing it responsibly, providing that stuff. Because like you said, I almost got like Yelp vibes or something, like people doing that stuff and they're getting good reviews, and people are, the trust level goes up and they use them more and more and stuff like that. So I really like, think that is an optimistic kind of approach to maybe building some of those systems.
Sure. Yeah, and like what Nate had mentioned about Amazon, and with like the product reviews, there's so many like false reviews on there for products, and blockchain is going to be a massive contributor to authenticating all those things and understanding who these people are, because anybody can make an account, but I'm just not sure how the authentication process is going to be for using a wallet to authenticate yourself on the blockchain. Like anybody can get a wallet, so I'm just trying to wrap my head around that dynamic, which I'm sure we'll get there.
I mean, there's the thing, right? If you just create a wallet and make one transaction and then give a good rating to someone, sure, this rating means something, but it's not really as valuable as you would think, because it's just not weighted as much as the rating of somebody who gave a lot of ratings and proved like a very reliable rater. So it gave the ratings that were accepted by most people, and there was a consensus on, and had like a very rich history. And those kind of persons, or like wallets. In blockchain, we only deal with wallets. We don't even know if there are real people there. And the whole idea is that maybe they are not. This was the idea of Singularity Net. Maybe they are just AIs doing business between themselves. So, but anyway, like you can, it's easy to just like make like really easy fake and give some fake reviews, but then to really be consistent in giving the very reliable reviews that are very similar than the consensus, this makes you much more reputable than somebody else who just came and spam like that shows the easier way out. And this is also how there is like a general fight over the rest of the internet with the reputation systems, how they try to catch them. There are also ways how to flag like suspicious actors, but it's always cat and mouse game. So, and this will remain cat and mouse game. So you got to understand that there's always an ongoing development in this, in both cases, in the fraud case and in the ones who are catching frauds, the policing guys.
Sure, Anchor.
I know we're close to time, so I'll keep this short. So I think that absolutely is. I completely agree with all of those points. It'll become harder to distinguish between, is it just two AIs talking to each other, or is it real people that are on a website? But I think the bigger point, and something which we've started working on recently, is people will delegate actions on behalf of themselves to be carried out by AI agents. A lot of people already use something like ChatGPT or AutoGPT to take actions on their behalf. So instead of just getting, for example, an itinerary for your trip, you would be able to describe to an AI agent and say, this is the kind of holiday I like, this is my budget, these are my likes, dislikes. Now go and book an entire trip on my behalf. So, and that's a scenario in which you've actually authorized as a user an AI agent to take some actions on your behalf. So not only will we need to distinguish whether there's the user is AI or a human, but also whether it's a good AI or something that's been approved by the user versus an AI bot that is perhaps just trying to, I don't know, buy tickets in a concert as soon as it goes live.
Wow, that just goes so deep. It's almost like reverse engineering the process to provide a good workflow for the organization so that the AI can learn from what the users like, what their actions are, while incentivizing them to take action. So like you ask AI, hey, can you book me a trip? Well, guess what? You're going to be gifted $10 in USDT for using the AI to create the trip, incentivizing the user to do that. The AI gets the data for the user for taking the action, and then it just like compiles that information. And why, like, obviously, there's going to be different ways to that users are going to be like manipulating that, but the whole basis of it is that that's just one of the billion ways that AI is going to be able to like be inserted into to the picture. People are going to be paid for doing the things that they love, and that's interesting. Whole other subject. But as we get closer to the end here, guys, I love talking to you guys. I want to keep on talking to you. I know you guys got a ton to do. You're building awesome applications. One more thing before we jump off here. What does the future hold? What does it look like to be a part of this awesome convergence of AI and blockchain technologies?
I I would say very positive. Like I I think AI in general is getting more privatized in the hands of big companies, but blockchain is really a nuisance in there because it's really helping democratize and it's helping small players. So I think it's the good industry to be in if you don't like this kind of yeah, developments and stuff like that. And definitely there are huge improvements that can be done on blockchain if it goes the right way, of course. And we're doing our best to steer it in the right direction. So once we steer it in the right direction, we'll bring it to the benevolent and useful AI for humans.
Nice. Arcs?
Yeah, I mean, I echo that positivity. I mean, it's it we humans do have a tendency towards hyperbole, but this is probably the most uh, you know incredible discovery of humans and technological advancement, and is going to lead to so much over the next few years, in the next decade, that we cannot even think about yet, and we're just starting to even map out the very fringes of how this is going to affect the world, affect humanity. But I think there's so much reason to be excited and hopeful. And I think leaning into it versus being there's so many people right now that are pulling away and trying to pull back from it. And unfortunately, those are the people that are going to be, left behind the fastest. That don't, adapt and don't lean in and don't try to, try to make something with this. And I think that it's just one thing that makes me so hopeful is that it gives so many people a chance around the world to actually compete and go toe to toe with giant corporations and people that have been hogging kind of all the power and all the money and stuff. And this is a like dream for democratizing creativity, financial independence, entrepreneurship. So it's just so exciting, and I think we're in a perfect position right now to do that. And building these tools, all these spaces, are all of these people on this call are building tools that are important to do this in so many different ways. I really love what Checked is doing with the decentralized identity stuff and security, and obviously what we're doing from a consumer standpoint, and just trying to disrupt these giant conglomerate luxury brands and around the world. All of these things are they're working towards a greater goal, and just so excited to be a part of it and to meet you guys and be able to talk about all this awesome stuff. Could keep going, for hours here. There's so many threads to pull on.
Beautiful. Atoma? Marcus?
Yeah, I mean, just to echo off these points, right? Like this resounding positivity, as well as kind of overall consensus feeling about AI technology really playing this massive role. I mean, we're looking at a growth and advancement in intelligence more than anything, right? And when that's the case, we're in a really special field, one where we're not going to be able to just see exponential growth just in the AI ecosystem, but like also with technology as a whole. And I think that's why we're seeing all these major tech companies really jumping forward and trying to push what they can and their resources into this, because whether it be in robotics or advancements in like, space travel or anything at that level, like we're looking at things that may not have looked possible within a 10 to 15 year time frame that now are very possible because we're at a new level of intelligence being unlocked, and that's incredibly powerful. Now you overlap that with another one of the most powerful technologies being integrated, being blockchain technology, really showing a level of transparency. And you kind of see an area where we can push towards a utopian style society where everything is transparent, everything has a level of trust, and we also are able to grow and expand at a rate faster than we could have imagined before. So these are some really exciting things that we're really looking forward to at Atoma, and we can't wait to just be a part of it.
Nice. Oh, I can't wait. Very, very interesting. And I just want to highlight just one point that you all just said is, this industry and this time of development for this technology, AI and blockchain is one of a kind. We've never seen something like this happen in the history of mankind. So it's a very interesting thing to see, and having blockchain storing the future or storing the history for the people in the future to see how this all evolves is going to be really interesting. So none of the data is going to be left behind like the ancient times. So thanks so much, everybody, for coming. If you haven't had a chance to check out these companies, check them out. They're building amazing applications in AI and blockchain. And so thanks so much again, everybody. You guys were awesome. And until next time, we'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.
Thanks,
Thanks.
guys.
It was a pleasure.
Thank
Good
you.
meeting y'all.
Take care, guys.
Peace.